Chapter 18, Part 3, Cost, Volume, Profit. Now we want to discuss the concept of a contribution margin. How much after we make the product is being contributed toward covering our fixed cost and then generating a profit? We call that a contribution margin, and it's calculated as total sales minus total variable cost gives me a contribution margin. Again, that is the amount available from my sale after paying my variable cost. It can go to cover those fixed costs that are not going to change no matter what my volume does. And if any is left over, then it will generate a profit. There are four important formulas used in this analysis. The first is called contribution margin. We simply calculate that as the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit, and that will give us a contribution margin per unit. What does each unit contribute toward covering fixed cost and producing a profit? Next is our contribution margin ratio. We take the contribution margin per unit that we got in the previous step, divided by my selling price per unit, and that tells me what percent of every sales dollar is available to cover fixed cost and then generate a profit. Next, we switch to our break-even point formulas. The first is break-even in units. How many units must I sell to break even? And let me remind you, break-even means the company is not earning a profit, they are not having a loss. Their net income is zero. To calculate the break-even in units, how many units must I sell to break even? I take my total fixed cost, divide by the contribution margin per unit. Or I might want to know how many dollars must I sell in order to break even. So I can get a break-even point in dollars. In that case, I take my fixed cost and divide by the contribution margin ratio. This one gives me how many units to break even. This one tells me how many sales dollars I must have to break even. And please notice that all four of these are intertwined. Your contribution margin, your contribution margin ratio, break even in units, break even in dollars. Stop right now and memorize all four formulas. Your life will be so much easier if you will learn to manipulate these formulas quickly. When we get to our quick studies, we will have a lot of practice, and once you've gotten through your quick studies, you should have the four formulas memorized and are able to use them successfully.